Welcome to my channel, Easy English Daily.
Hey everyone, my name is Jake. I'm 26 years old, and I'm from Brazil. 5 months ago, I couldn't speak a single sentence in English. Not even how are you without thinking too much. I was completely lost. But today I want to tell you how I learned English in 5 months. I did this without expensive classes, without going to an English-speaking country, and without wasting time on useless methods. This is not just my story. This is your story too. If you've felt frustrated or stuck because of your English, keep watching. I was exactly where you are, and I promise that if you follow my journey step by step, you will know how to improve your English. My journey didn't start with motivation. It started with a big failure. That moment changed everything. I've always wanted to work for an international company. My dream job was to be a software engineer at a big tech company. I loved coding, I was good at it, and I worked day and night to be the best. Finally, after years of hard work, I got my chance. I applied for a huge company in the US, and the recruiter emailed me, "Congratulations, you are selected for an interview." I was so excited. I imagined my life in a new country, earning a big salary, working with the best people. But then the interview happened. I remember it like it was yesterday. I opened Zoom, and there were 3 interviewers, all native English speakers. They started speaking. It felt like someone had pressed fast forward on their voices. I couldn't understand anything. They asked me the first question, "Can you tell us a bit about yourself?" I panicked. I knew the answer in my head, but the words didn't come out. I stuttered. Yes, I am, software. I do coding. Many projects. Good." The silence felt like a knife in my stomach. They asked another question, but I couldn't answer that either. In the end, one of them smiled and said, "All right, thank you for your time." I knew what that meant. I had failed. I didn't get the job. Not because I wasn't good enough in my field, but because I couldn't speak English. That day, I understood the power of English. It wasn't just a language, it was the key to my dream. I didn't have that key. I felt ashamed, embarrassed, and angry. For years I told myself, I don't need English. I'll just be good at my job. But now I saw the truth. Without English, I was invisible. That night, I made a decision. I would learn English, and I would learn it fast. Most people start by paying for expensive courses. But I didn't do that because I had already tried them before, and they didn't work. A year ago, I paid for an online English class. The teacher made me memorize vocabulary lists, do grammar exercises, and study boring rules. But after 3 months, I still couldn't speak. I realized that expensive classes weren't the answer. If I wanted to learn English fast, I needed something different, a system that worked in real life. That's when I started my 5-month method, which I'll share with you step by step. Part 1. The first 15 days. The biggest mistake beginners make is thinking they need more words. I thought the same. If I learn 1,000 words, I'll speak fluently. But the truth is, I already knew hundreds of words, yet I couldn't speak. So for the first 15 days, I didn't study any new words. Instead, I focused on learning how to use the words I already knew. I made a list of 50 survival sentences I needed every day. I read these sentences out loud 10 times every morning. After 5 days, these sentences became automatic. I started speaking to myself in English every day, even when I was alone. I described things I did in my daily life in English. At first, I felt stupid, but soon I realized this was my private classroom. No one could hear me, and no one could judge me. I practiced 5 sentences a day, copying them exactly from movies or real conversations. I repeated them 10 times with the same emotion. By the end of the first 15 days, something changed. I stopped translating in my head. I could say basic sentences without thinking. I felt more confident, but this was just the beginning. Part 2. Real practice begins. After 15 days, I was ready to take the next step. I could say basic sentences without thinking, but I knew it wasn't enough. I wanted to have real conversations. I wanted to understand native speakers without translating. I wanted to speak fluently. I started using the question-answer method. I asked myself a simple question in English, then answered it immediately without thinking. I repeated this with different answers every day for 30 minutes. This helped my speaking speed and fluency improve dramatically. I also practiced pronunciation using the echo technique. I listened to native speakers and repeated their sentences with the same speed, tone, and emotion. After a month, my pronunciation improved so much that even native speakers noticed. I learned vocabulary using the Say Story method. 5 new words every day, creating short stories with them. I read the story out loud 10 times. After 3 months, I had learned over 1,000 words without memorizing anything. I trained my brain to think in English by describing everything around me. I wrote a daily journal in English to improve my writing and thinking in English. I made a rule: speak English for at least 2 hours every day. Part 3. My final breakthrough. I realized just listening and speaking wouldn't be enough. I needed to understand grammar and sentence structure. I started observing how native speakers structured their sentences and focused on learning grammar naturally. I wrote down confusing prepositions and researched them online. I started writing a daily diary in English and copied the way native speakers write. I practiced shadowing, repeating every word after native speakers immediately. I watched English movies with subtitles, pausing and repeating every sentence. Slowly, my English started sounding more natural. At this stage, I realized that confidence was just as important as grammar. I started speaking to people in English whenever I had the chance. I joined an online group where people practiced English, and I started making friends from different countries, achieving fluency. After 5 months of practice, I achieved fluency. I applied for my dream job again, and this time, I was confident. I walked into the interview room not as someone who feared English, but as someone who had mastered it. I got the job with a salary of $5,000 a month, more than I ever imagined. I called my parents to tell them the news, and my mother started crying. I realized it was all worth it. Every struggle, every late night, every moment of frustration. And key lessons. Mindset is everything. Surround yourself with English and speak without fear. Consistency is key to learning. Stay committed, practice daily, and you will improve. If I can do it, you can do it too. Your journey to fluency starts now.